What is generative AI? Welcome to Rheminiscing, where we reflect on the past, present, and the possible future of AI, grounding ourselves in decades of experience with AI knowledge systems, data, and the digital tools that shape our world. Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Tony Rem, and since the early days of my expert systems and structured data world, I've worked with organizations across government industry to build technologies that don't just manage information, but help people make informed decisions. This podcast is about clarity, context, and responsibility in the age of intelligent machines. So whether you lead strategy, manage knowledge, or are simply trying to keep up with this rapidly evolving landscape of AI, today's episode is for you. Our topic: what is generative AI? Not just what it does, but why it matters. Let's get into it. Well, a little bit of AI for you, right? Understanding generative AI. When we hear generative AI, we often think of viral images, auto-written essays, or eerily lifelike voices. But let's look deeper. Generative AI refers to a class of AI models that don't just analyze, they create. From text, images, audio, video, 3D models, even synthetic data. These systems generate original content based on what they've learned from vast datasets. How? Through machine learning models, trained to understand and replicate patterns in the information that you give it. Some use generative pre-trained transformers, well, that's GPT. Others are GANs, generative adversarial networks, that pit two models against each other, refining outputs through competition. Well, you can think of it for you jazz people out there as a jazz improvisation. The model learns the structure of the music, then it riffs. What it produces isn't random, it's informed, creativity, grounded prior training. And the applications? Writers using AI to co-draft content. Designers generating mood boards, or IT designers wireframes or prototypes. Programmers generating code. Think of vibe coding. Vibe coding when AI and the developer works together to generate code like Claude or ChatGPT. It helps with generating, writing, and information working alongside the developer. This is not science fiction, it's happening now. But here's the flip side. With great creative power comes what? Great potential for confusion and misuse. Use case spotlight. Let's think about this. AI and product design. Let's say you're a product designer. Traditionally, your processing involves brainstorming, sketching, prototyping. Lots of time, lots of iterations, right? With generative AI, you can input parameters, a target demographic, brand values, past sales data, and receive dozens of visual design concepts in minutes, which you have to look at, right? You don't lose creativity, you accelerate it. The human still curates, refines, and decides, but the AI becomes your partner in exploration. So what's the caveat? Bias in the training data can produce narrow, stereotypical outputs, as you guys have seen. So again, it's not just about what the AI can do, it's what we allow it to shape. And for this segment, I am going to turn to my co-host, which is a large language model within itself. My co-host here is Georgia. Hello, Georgia.
All right, here we go.
Grateful to be able to talk to you today. We have some things around AI we definitely want to have your take on. There's been a lot of conversation about copyright material and generative AI with artists, right? Creators.
Such an important topic, especially with how generative AI is evolving. There's definitely a lot to unpack when it comes to ensuring that artists and creators are fairly recognized and compensated. I'm excited to dive into it with you.
On that point, one, do you think artists should be compensated? And on the other point is how?
I definitely think there's a strong case for artists being compensated, especially when their work is used to train AI models. As for the how, it could involve licensing agreements, or even some kind of royalty system where artists receive a share based on how their work contributes. It's definitely a complex issue, but an important one to tackle.
When generative AI looks at images, for instance, to create, and they go and look at this variety of data, the AI may be accessing copyrighted material from a myriad, thousands of artists. So how do you figure out who to compensate and how much?
That's a great question, and definitely one of the big challenges. One approach could be creating a system that tracks which data sets are used and then distributing compensation proportionally based on how much an artist's work contributed. There could also be collaborations with platforms that manage digital rights, ensuring transparency and fairness.
Absolutely, and I've been giving this quite a bit of thought, especially since the writer's strike and the actor's strike a couple of years ago, and how we want to move forward with that. And then you have your influencers and creators, social media, their images and things that they create. How do we put together something like that from a legislation perspective, and how do we get people to the table to agree?
It's definitely a complex challenge, but I think it starts with open dialogue and collaboration between all the stakeholders: artists, creators, tech companies, and policymakers. Legislation could be shaped by these conversations, ensuring that everyone's concerns and rights are considered. Building a fair framework will definitely take time and cooperation, but it's absolutely worth it.
I definitely believe that as well. One thought I have that having this central repository that artists can contribute to, and have AI companies only use that registered repository of curated content in their models, so you can fairly compensate who's ever contributing to that space, and not just randomly look throughout the internet for information. What do you think about this centralized repository as an ideal or framework to start with?
I think that's a really promising idea. A centralized repository could definitely add transparency and give artists more control over how their work is used. It would also make it easier to ensure that compensation is fair and that everyone involved knows exactly where the data is coming from. It could really help balance innovation with respect for creators' rights.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. Do you think we've missed anything here so far in the conversation? Anything that we need to dive into a little bit more?
I think we've covered a lot of great ground. The only thing that might be interesting to explore a bit more is how we can educate and raise awareness among the public and creators about these issues, making sure everyone understands the importance of fair compensation, and ethical AI use could be a key piece of the puzzle. But overall, I think we've hit on a lot of the major points.
Georgia, I want to thank you for your time, and especially being such a gracious co-host here. What do you think some future topics we should discuss around AI copyrights and legal aspects of that?
It's been my pleasure. I think some great future topics could include the evolving role of AI in journalism and media, how AI is impacting education, and even exploring the intersection of AI and privacy laws. There's definitely a lot of ground we can cover in the future.
Absolutely, and as AI policy and governance expert myself, the IEEE certified AI ethics framework help companies implement AI policies and governance using also the NIST AI framework as well as the ISO AI framework. What other frameworks are out there that we should consider when implementing AI policy and governance, and especially for the copyrights of creators and other artists?
There are definitely some other frameworks and guidelines out there that can be really valuable. For instance, the OECD principles on AI emphasize values like transparency, fairness, and accountability, which are great for shaping policy. The EU has also been developing comprehensive regulations around AI that focus on protecting individual rights and promoting ethical use. Exploring these different frameworks can definitely give us a well-rounded approach to AI governance and copyright protection.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Georgia. Until next time, guess we'll be hearing from Georgia more on what is actually going on in AI and some future topics that were just mentioned. Thank you. All right. If we want generative AI to enrich creativity, not diminish it, We must design for fairness and integrity from the start. Let's think about this for a second. Let's recap. Generative AI creates new content by learning from massive datasets and our prompts helping to direct it. And it spans domains in writing, design, music, programming, and even scientific discovery. Right? So this is a lot to deal with here. So think about it. It can accelerate human creativity, but also amplify ethical concerns around ownership, bias, misuse. That's only the beginning. Human judgment and critical thinking isn't replaced, it's more essential than ever. So that's what we got to really think about, the human side of this and critical thinking. If this episode opened up new questions for you, reach out. Email me at tonyr@ajrim.com or visit ajrim.com. Want more? Subscribe, explore the archives, or bring this conversation to your next team strategy session. And as always, build with intention. Think beyond automation, because when humans and machines collaborate responsibly, we don't just create, we elevate and innovate. Until next time, stay thoughtful and stay curious.